Yo guys, what is going on? It's your boy BIGark back with another YouTube video. Today I am on my monk with a little bit of a different transmog on him, as I will be going through a Windwalker monk DPS and damage guide. A little tutorial basically on whether you're doing Mythic Plus, AoE content, or raiding single target content, what you can expect, what kind of talent builds, what kind of stats you want to be focusing on, and what kind of covenants choose, and so forth. So before we get into it though, I do want to thank every single one of you that has subscribed to the channel lately. Currently at the time of recording this, we are at 340 subs, which is a great milestone. If you don't know, I just uploaded a video a couple days ago where I basically did a Mistweaver monk guide, so if you haven't seen that, go check that out. But I did announce the winner for the 250 subs WoW token giveaway, and if you're new to the channel, we are doing a WoW token giveaway at 500 and 1,000 subs, which means we are oh so close to that next giveaway. In a couple days, hopefully we can reach that, and I will announce the winner in a couple videos from now, hopefully. If you don't know how to enter, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, but I can control you, so, do what you want to do. Just a quick recap though, big thanks to everyone who has supported recently. I love making these class guides. They have seemed to be popping off on my channel. A little bit mixed reviews, but this is just how I play, and I have a couple alts, so why not show off for the people that don't know how to play it. So, if you haven't seen my Mistweaver monk, I'm going to go into it a bit in this video. Basically just talk about the monk in general before we get into the actual stats to look for, your rotation, your talents and covenants and so on. So the big thing about the monk is in Windwalker Spec they use chi as their energy resource, so it's what they build up and spend to do their combo abilities. Kind of like how a rogue has those red dots. I don't play a rogue, don't at me. But yeah, that's kind of their building block resource that they can stack, get some good damage output. Overall, I find that Windwalker is really good in your AoE situations. It could be a bit better in single target. I feel like there could be some room for improvement. However, right now they are not too great in single target environments. And the main thing I can take away from this as a monk is just your mobility. I mean, especially as Windwalker, I say you have about 3 abilities that you can choose from, which really just help you get away from any situation that you may be stuck in, whether it be in battlegrounds, skirmishes, arenas, or even like raid fights where you just have to move from one side of the encounter to another. They have really good mobility just to get place to place. So that's an overall quick view of the monk. We're going to get into the stats to look for before we get into the main mastery. So what you want to look for in order is versatility, mastery, critical strike, and then haste. You want it in that order. Obviously, all of your gear is going to have agility, so I didn't mention that, but that would be the number 1 before versatility. So just to repeat, you want to go versatility, mastery, critical strike, and then haste. So we're going to talk about the mastery right now, just because it is super unique for the Windwalker monk. I'm just going to go to the Windwalker bracket here. It's called combo strikes, and basically for every ability that you do which is different than the previous ability, they deal 19% more damage. So you'll see how I stack that with a talent, how you can really just maximize your damage output simply by not doing the same ability twice. And honestly, the Windwalker monk has so many different DPS abilities that it's super easy to just not hit the same ability twice. So that's probably why mastery is just rated so highly in that tier of stats to look for. If you don't know, I'm going to run through it again. Versatility is basically increased damage and healing. Mastery is just an increase of your mastery. It depends on every single spec that you have. And then critical strike is your chance for your damaging abilities to hit harder. And then haste is just how quick you can do those abilities. So that's just if you're new to stats or don't know what the stats do in general. A lot of different racials affect how a monk class can play. I know for my Maghar Orc racial, it's Ancestral Call here, so invoke the spirits of your ancestors, granting you a random secondary stat for 15 seconds. If I click that right now, you can see it's really good. So my mastery, which is really good for me, is increased by 125. It is random, so you can get either versatility, critical strike, haste, or even leech, I think. Just a couple others to name a few. That's a really good racial. I know that there is trolls, which basically have increased regeneration, I think. And then obviously there's some different ones that are better ranged and some that are better with haste and stuff like that. So whatever race you pick, there's always going to be a better one for your class. It's always good to do some research before you find out you're playing the wrong class. You don't want to be playing the wrong spec with the awesome class and not maximize the full potential it can be at. So if you're thinking about leveling a monk, getting into anything like that, I would definitely look at the racials before you make an actual choice. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into all of the abilities and the rotation of the Windwalker Monk. So you can't see it on here, but I'm just going to hit this target a couple times, and you can see that I will build up chi. So right now I have 4 chi. That's good enough for now. Just to show you that it does actually build up. Your main chi builder that you have is Tiger Palm. So basically about half your energy, and it deals 280 damage, generates 2 of your chi. And then basically it has a proc where you can make your blackout kick cost 0 chi, which is a chi spender. So that is for chi builders. Your chi spenders, you have blackout kick. Basically, I'll just show you on the target here. You can see that it just does a little bit of damage. I'll do Tiger Palm, blackout kick. It only costs 1 chi, so you can get 2 blackout kicks for every single Tiger Palm that you do, which is really good. This way you can just keep your chi up. Next thing I'm going to get into is Rising Sun Kick. So this is what it looks like. Deals just over 2,500 damage, reduces effectiveness on healing, so really good in PvP. Your Blackout Kick is a chance to reduce the cooldown of your Rising Sun Kick. So these are going to be your 3 main abilities for your single target that you have. None of them proc there, so it didn't reset. But that's going to be your main 3 abilities that you use. We have a couple more that are really good to the class that I'm going to basically just start off with. You have your Fist of Fury. So I'll show you what that looks like here. Basically, it's really good for AoE, especially in PvP, because I'm pretty sure you can turn this into a stun. You can move around while you do it too, even though I missed it. And it works really good with the other abilities that you have here. We'll get into this ability that just lit up in a second here. But what you also have is Storm, Earth, and Fire, which is another ability that you want to use as a monk, because it basically creates visions of yourself that do 45%, I'm pretty sure, of the damage that you do. So it's really good if you're doing your AoE situations and have a bunch of targets to work on. Like I said earlier, monks are a whole lot better in AoE rather than single target. You can see they just got dismissed there. And then you have Spinning Crane Kick, another AoE ability. You can cast any of these abilities that I've mentioned so far with your elemental spirits up from Storm, Earth, and Fire. So if I put these guys up, I can totally cast Fist of Fury on all of them, or then I can do Rising Sun Kick, and then I can do Spinning Crane Kick. They will basically mirror whatever I do and just put out 45% of the damage that I've been doing. So honestly, any extra damage is always wanted rather than not having extra damage, so it's super nice in that sense. That's pretty much it for your upfront abilities. I do have a couple, pardon me, not a couple. I have 1 ranged ability. It is your Crackling Jade Lightning, as you can see here. It is your ranged ability, 20 energy plus 20 per second, so not really super useful unless you are tagging mobs, so I wouldn't really suggest doing that in your regular DPS rotation. I just have it kind of linked if I have to get aggro from a mob and pull it over, so otherwise I wouldn't really use it too much. You have your main cooldown that is with every monk class, and that is Touch of Karma. So absorbs all of your damage taken for 10 seconds, up to 50% of your maximum health. Redirects that amount to the enemy target as nature damage over 6 seconds. So basically, kind of like your bubble as a monk class here. So it absorbs all your damage, basically puts it on another target as their damage. So whether you're in an encounter, whether it be raiding or even like arenas and PvP, this is super nice. Just to kind of like defend yourself and get some DPS off at the same time. You're going to use this when you know you want to, or pardon me, you're going to want to use this when you know you're going to be taking a whole lot of damage, just so a lot of that damage is reflected and you're A-OK. You have another main ability here, which is Invoke Zwen, the White Tiger. Basically, it summons Zwen and it attacks a primary target. Basically, is your pet for you. And yeah, this is what it looks like pretty much. So it basically applies them with like a lightning buff, and they do extra damage there with Zwen because there's like a lightning debuff on them, which is super duper cool. So this is what it looks like, just, you know, if he's fighting for you there. We're going to get into the mobility spells now that I've done just the main kind of core spells that you have there. So you have Roll. Any monk knows what this looks like. So that's pretty much what you want to have spec'd. You have the Flying Serpent Kick, which looks a lot like that. Does damage whenever it ends too, whether you cancel it or you ride it for the full duration. So yeah, that is super duper nice. Okay. And then what I want to get into next is a lot of your defensives. So a lot of these can be talent specs, which will bring me to the talents. But one that you have for your class is Fortifying Brew. So 15% health increase and heals you, and reduces your damage taken by 15% for 15 seconds. So a lot of 15s in that sentence. So that's a lot of your defensive. That's basically your defensive shield. You basically grow, you turn gray, and yeah, 15, 15, 15. Just remember that. Health increased by 15%, damage reduced by 15% for 15 seconds. From that, we have Vivify, which is a basically your off heal. So this is what it looks like. If you saw from my Mistweaver guide, this is one of their main healing abilities, and Windwalkers have it too, just to get them topped up. So it does about 2k on average there, so it's not too bad. You also have Expel Harm, so it's a damage dealing buff as well as a heal. So it heals you for, basically for me it's for 1,000, and it deals 10% of the amount healed as nature damage to an enemy within 8 yards. So pretty good defensively if you're trying to still mitigate some damage coming to you while still doing some damage. Pairs really good when you don't have Karma up, because this way you're still able to get some healing, whether you can absorb it or not. So before we get into a whole lot of the main abilities, I want to get into the talents, which will help you understand more of the abilities, which will help hype up the abilities and basically just make sense to playing a Mistweaver monk. So on screen right now is kind of what you're gonna want to go for when it's your AoE abilities. So we're just gonna run through it here. I'm gonna show you what you can sub out in a second. You have Chi Burst. So in my last video, if you don't know, this is what it looks like. Does damage and heals as well. So basically deals 382 nature damage to all enemies and 833 healing to the monk and all allies in its path. Again, this is the AoE talent tree. You're going to go to Tiger's Lust. This is kind of your whole mobility bracket. It is totally up to you, depending on how you want to move around as a monk. In my Mistweaver guide, I totally spec Chi Torpedo, but just for the extra mobility, since I have the Flying Serpent Kick, I went to Tiger's Lust for Windwalker, but you can always sub these out depending on what you feel like. So for AoE, typically you're going to want to go Energizing Elixir. So basically it gives you 2 Chi, and you basically get 15 energy every second for the next 5 seconds, which is really good for pumping out your AoE abilities, such as, you know, your Tire Palm to build up your Chi, then your Rising Sun Kick, then your Fist of Fury, and, you know, whatever you need that Chi for. But right now I'm rocking Fist of the White Tiger, so generates 3 Chi, just because I didn't have another Chi builder besides Tiger Palm. So strike the technique with the technique of the White Tiger, generating 1048 damage. The damage doesn't really matter, but it basically just generates a Chi for me, and it only costs 40 energy, while Tiger Palm is 50 energy. So definitely use this when it's up on cooldown if you're rocking it, just because it's 10 less energy for an extra Chi. So a 50% gain for less energy is always awesome. For your 30 bracket, yeah, so single target would definitely rock Fist of the Tiger, otherwise Energizing Elixir for AoE. For the 35 level bracket, I never do Tiger Tail Sweep, just because you have so many stuns already. If you increase the distance of this one, it's not really going to matter, especially when Good Karma is an awesome talent. So 100% of the damage redirected by Touch of Karma also heals you. Like we said earlier, this is your main defensive, so it absorbs all of that damage and does 70% back to the target. Well, all of that damage that you absorb just pretty much becomes healing. So if you know you're low on health in a PvP situation, low on health in a raid encounter, this will basically top you up as well as do a bit of damage to the target. So it's super good. You're kind of always going to want to spec this one unless you're getting super crowded in situations where you're going to want to stack Ring of Peace. So this is a stun. Basically no one can get in your area for 5 seconds. Any enemies that enter are going to be shot out. I'm sure you've played PvP or been in an environment before where you've seen enemies just like flying all over the place because they can't get to you when you have this ability up and around you. So it's super nice for that kind of situation. But for 90% of the time, I would totally stick to Good Karma here for your 35 level bracket. Now, for your 40 level bracket, these are kind of interchangeable between Inner Strength and Diffuse Magic. So overall, it depends what you're going through. I'm in a lot of encounters where I have a huge burst damage always on me because I PvP whenever I'm Windwalker. So I always go Diffuse Magic, basically as a shield. So 60% of that magic damage that I take is transferred back to the original caster. Depending on what type of damage it is, I either switch between Dampen Harm or Diffuse Magic. Diffuse Magic is good for magic damage, and Dampen Harm is good for just regular damage in total. So Dampen Harm reduces all damage you take by 20% to 50% for 10 seconds. Larger attacks reduce more. We went over that in the last video. Inner Strength is really good, I think, for your AoE situations. This is kind of like your easy talent if you don't know when to use these two. So for each chi you spend, it reduces the damage taken by 2% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So if you can get it to stack, it's really good. And if you're not aware of the situation you're going to be in, I would pick that as opposed to Diffuse Magic or Dampen Harm. But really, this is kind of up to you. I know for my Mistweaver guide, I didn't even pick Diffuse Magic or Dampen Harm just because I wanted the little off heal that was better off for me. But honestly, it's up to you. So this 45 level bracket is pretty interchangeable between two of them. Right now I rock Hit Combo. So if you remember our mastery, it's basically every single DPS ability that I use that is different from the last, that damage from that ability is increased by 19%, stacking with mastery. So now with Hit Combo, each successive attack that triggers combo strikes in a row grants 1% increased damage, stacking up to 6 times. So, you know, like each time you use like those abilities and get combo strikes, it'll basically increase your damage by that much. So I'm using different abilities each time, and you know, it's going up by 1% every single time. You can see it resets after 6 times though. So it's pretty good in that situation for single target. However, if you're going to be doing a lot of AoE, I would recommend Dance of Chi-Ji. So basically it makes your next spinning crane kick that you do free, and it does 200% damage. So it's only a chance, pardon me. It's not a 100% chance, but there is a chance. So depending on what kind of situation you're in, you're going to want to switch between Hit Combo and Dance of Chi. Recap: Hit Combo, single target, Dance of Chi for AoE, just because honestly the spinning crane kick with your elemental spirits that you have up will just be super nice. You'll be doing a whole bunch of damage. For your 50 level bracket, the one that I always pick is Whirling Dragon Punch. So you've probably seen on my bars, I said I was going to talk about this later. So here we are. Whirling Dragon Punch basically is another ability that you do when your Fist of Fury and your Rising Sun Kick are used. Your elementals that you summon also use this. So I'll show you what it looks like real quick. We're just going to do Fist of Fury. So we did it. Rising Sun Kick. And this is what the Whirling Dragon Punch looks like. So it is an AoE. So even when your little companions that you spawn do it, it's AoE as well. And it's really good just to get that AoE damage. Like, you know, I said earlier, that monks are really good at. So when you have it up with this guy here, I'll just do Fist of Fury again. I may have mistimed it, but you see there, it's like AoE and a bunch of really good damage there. So this is what I pick most of the time just for ease of DPS. Basically, if you really want to use Storm, Earth, and Fire a lot, you can use Spiritual Focus because every chi spender that you use basically reduces the cooldown from when you have these guys up. So if you rely a lot on using these for AoE, I would pick this if you can do without the AoE damage that Whirling Dragon Punch does. However, these are the talents I would rock with. The only thing I would switch maybe if you're doing single target is do Chi Wave instead of Chi Burst. Single target is good for Fist of the White Tiger. Hit Combo for single target, and this always AoE is going to be Chi Burst, Energizing Elixir, and Dance of Chi-Ji. That's pretty much the only things you're going to want to change. Otherwise, yeah, everything else is going to be pretty much the same no matter what kind of encounter you're in. Also, it is personal preference, so I know that a lot of people may use Inner Strength instead of these two, but I just find that, you know, I'm doing a lot of PvPs when I'm coming up against mages or warlocks or a lot of magic damage. So I know that instead of pulling Karma right away and popping my bubble, if I use Diffuse Magic, it'll just, you know, let me off heal a bit more and, you know, reduce the damage that's coming in towards me. So, yeah, have fun with it. Honestly, Windwalker Monk is super, super fun to play with. One thing I'm going to get into is the covenants that are really good for Windwalker monks. I'm so used to saving Mistweaver that I got confused there. So for rating, you're definitely going to want to pick Kyrian. It's a different ability for Windwalker monks. So the class ability is Weapons of Order. So for the next 30 seconds, your mastery is increased by 12.5%. Additionally, your Rising Sun Kick reduces chi cost by 1 for 5 seconds, and Blackout Kick reduces the cooldown of affected abilities an additional 1 second. So basically reduces the chi you need for your chi spenders, and reduces the cooldown of those just by an additional 1 second. So it's really nice, really good at pumping out damage, basically, because you don't have to spend so much on chi builders. You can just do chi spenders. So this is a whole lot better for like your single target, which is okay. However, if you want to do Mythic Plus and a lot more AoE, I would totally pick Necrolord. It'll just give you that ability that's really good for AoE damage and help you in that case. If you're going to do both, though, or like even Torghast, just pick Night Fae. They're really good for that, so I've heard. But if you're going to stick to, just to recap, if you're going to stick to rating, go Kyrian, Mythic Plus, Necrolord. But yeah, other than that, we just have stuns. Windwalker Monk has an okay amount of stuns. So you have Spearhand Strike, basically your interrupt, sweeping leg kick, or pardon me, leg sweep, which is your AoE interrupt. Paralysis, if you use on a mob, it's 1 minute. I'm pretty sure it's like 5 or 6 seconds on a PvP target. And then you just have disable, so just their movement speed debuff. A couple things I do want to mention that are super cool about Windwalker monks is their ability to do transcendence. So you can see I just left a little picture of myself there. Looks pretty cute there with that transmog. And I can just pop back. Oh, and look, now I'm over there. So you can see this, how this can be viable for like PvP situations, just so you can port from one pillar to another and just kind of get a way to off heal. So we went over the basic damage abilities. We went over the stuns, your off healing abilities, and what to protect yourself. The next thing I'm going to get into is the last ability, which is super underrated and was just revamped, which is really nice. This expansion is Touch of Death. Basically, if they have less health than you, it'll instantly kill them, but otherwise it deals damage equal to 35% of your maximum health against players that are under 15% of your health. So it's like your execute kind of, which is really, really nice. And it gives you these little, I think they're like little orbs around that spawn that you get like 1 chi when you walk through them. So it's basically like a huge damage execute, and then if you weren't able to finish them off, gives you free chi to spend to try and get them out of there a whole lot quicker. So yeah, honestly, it's a really fun class to play overall. We went over the abilities, the talents, your defensive cooldowns, your defensive heals, situational talents, and your mobility. Otherwise, there's not too much more that I want to get into on the Windwalker Monk. This has just been a guide that I use that has helped me in these situations. I started PvPing on them recently, so a lot of my bars are just set up for that PvP style. However, my UI is pretty basic. I'm sure other people have way more buttons on their screen. If you guys did like the video, thanks for tuning in. If you want to like, subscribe, comment, I will always be down to have a chat in the comments. We are doing a quick reminder of 500 and 1,000 subs. We are doing a WoW token giveaway. We are so close. Time of recording, we are at 340-ish subs. So we are so close to doing that second giveaway. And all you have to do is subscribe to be entered. So why not do that? It takes 1 click. If you want to go an extra mile and do a second click, you can click the bell icon. This way you can see whenever I upload videos. I do have class guides coming out right now just because I find that that's what I like doing a whole lot more. I love leveling alt, so what you can expect next is a Brewmaster monk guide, just kind of how to tank, keep aggro, and how cool it is with their stagger. And I have Beast Mastery Hunter and Survival Hunter coming as well. So I hope you guys all stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, sub. I will see you in the next video. It has been your boy BIGark. Peace.